This is Bryan Rosner. I'm coming to you from my office here at Biomed Publishing Group, and today I'm very excited. In fact, probably the most excited I've ever been to make a video for you to introduce to you my new book. It's called Freedom from Lyme Disease. It was just released in mid-July 2014. It's 440 pages long, and you can learn more about this book at freedomfromlyme.com. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this book today. I'd like to point out a few things on the cover here. This picture is actually a very meaningful picture to me. The picture you can see here of a person mountain biking, that's actually me mountain biking a few weeks ago. I've been mountain biking a lot since I've gotten over Lyme disease. And this picture was taken by a friend of mine up here in the Sierra Nevada mountains. It's just a meaningful picture because the title of the book is Freedom from Lyme Disease, and this picture sort of demonstrates my freedom from Lyme disease and what it means to me. Mountain biking has always been a passion of mine. Something else I want to point out here on the cover is my book was endorsed by Dr. Horowitz, Richard Horowitz. Many of you are familiar with him. He wrote the book, Why Can't I Get Better? It's probably the best-selling Lyme disease book in history. And Dr. Horowitz says of my book that I have done extensive research, I think outside the box, and this book provides new insight into Lyme disease treatment. So let's talk a little bit about what's in my new book. Why did I write a new book? Many of you know that I've written two other books. The Top 10 Lyme Disease Treatments I wrote in 2007, and Lyme Disease and Rife Machines I wrote in about 2004. So that's a long time ago. 2003 is over 10 years ago when I wrote my first book. So basically, Freedom from Lyme Disease contains everything that I have learned since I published these two books. It's been about 7 years since the last one was published, so that's a long time. So this new book with 440 pages contains everything that I've learned since these other two books were published. So basically, the book is divided into two categories of information. The first half of the book, I talk about building what I call a treatment template, which is your treatment strategy. And I actually feel this is very important because, as you know, there are so many different ways to find new treatments in this day and age. You can Google them, you can join a Lyme disease chat group, you can go to your doctor. So what I really feel is the missing ingredient in Lyme disease treatment strategy these days is not which treatments to use, but how do you use them? How do you fit them all together into your treatment protocol? So in this way, I sort of think of myself as a librarian, and I have a whole chapter on why I use the analogy of a librarian in order to help people understand how to use their treatments. So that's what's new in this book, is this treatment template that I think is really important and really helpful. But of course, there are also a lot of new treatments themselves, not just new strategies for using treatments, that have come out in the last 7 years. And so the other part of this book talks about over 50 new treatments that are not included in my other books that I think are very important and which have really changed my life and changed the lives of a lot of different Lyme disease patients I know. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those treatments. And first of all, I want to say that this book does not mess around. It has no fluff in it. There's no political controversy information. There's no obvious information about Lyme disease testing doesn't work. You better be careful about false negatives. I mean, there might be a page or two about this, but the majority of this book, 438 or 440 pages, is all hardcore treatment information. There's no wasted pages in here. There are 18 chapters in the book, like I said, with over 50 new treatments. I cover so many different things, it's hard to even know where to start to talk about. For example, some new pharmaceutical treatment options for a new stealth Lyme disease co-infection that you've probably never heard about, some herbal options for this co-infection, a whole chapter on parasites and how they can actually leave the gut and join forces with Lyme disease colonies throughout the body, and how anti-parasite treatment actually goes a lot further than just treating your gut. I have tons of new biofilm solutions in here. You'll note that biofilms are a huge problem that doctors are talking about these days as being one of the last frontiers in Lyme disease treatment. Acoustic sound therapy and a special clinic that offers this that really, we believe, possibly breaks up the Lyme disease colonies in a way that we haven't been able to do before. I have 2 separate chapters on adrenal fatigue. One is on the physical manifestations of adrenal fatigue. One is on the emotional manifestations of adrenal fatigue. My personal story of adrenal fatigue and how I got over it. Information that I've never seen anywhere else in print or on the internet that you're only going to find in this book. A whole bunch of brand new cutting edge dietary recommendations. For example, the paleo diet and how I've tweaked the paleo diet to be specifically useful for the specific problems that Lyme disease sufferers face. My personal story with the paleo diet, a whole bunch of different nutrition hacks, I call them, on how to use this diet, and different recipes and snack options, how to keep your weight down, how to keep your energy and muscle mass up. I have over 30 different new herbal and natural treatments in here that address everything from co-infections to Borrelia, to biofilm, to parasites, immune modulation, inflammation, all kinds of new stuff that I've learned over the last 7 years or so. A new way to get heavy metals out of the body using a specialized mineral replacement protocol that's been pioneered by some of the top thinkers of our time. And so I don't want to make this video too long, but that's an introduction to my new book, Freedom from Lyme Disease. You can learn more about this book at freedomfromlyme.com. That's freedomfromlyme.com. And I just want to tell you, if you've read my past 2 books, Lyme Disease and Rife Machines and the top 10 Lyme disease treatments, you'll know that I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into my books, and I really spare nothing to make them as fantastic as I can make them, and really put a lot of really powerful, important information in them. And I've done the same with the book Freedom from Lyme Disease that I'm showing you here. This book took me over 2 years to write. I really have put everything into it. I'm pretty exhausted from completing it. And I really do hope that you find this information to be as valuable as I have found it to be. I really believe this book lives up to the same quality standards as my past 2 books and the same usefulness of information. I really hope you'll check it out again, freedomfromlyme.com. Just released, and I look forward to hearing your feedback on my book, and I hope that it helps you. Thank you very much. A little disclaimer just to note, I am a researcher and journalist. I am not a medical doctor, so before you use any of the treatments in this book or before you consider using them, please do get your licensed physician to supervise that treatment, and don't just use them on my suggestions in the book. Like I said, I'm not qualified to offer you medical advice. This book is just full of information and opinions and experiences from me to share with you. Thanks.